The Prime Minister was at the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, which completes its 20 years in 2023. Remember, it had been flagged off when Mr. Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Since then, the event has become a national phenomenon, being replicated across several states, but not without its own set of hiccups. Today, talking about the journey of the Investor Summit in Gujarat, the Prime Minister spoke of how not only did people laugh at the idea of having an Investor Summit in a state, but actively blocked it. In fact, training his guns at the then UPA government, the PM accused it of not just boycotting Vibrant Gujarat by making its ministers stay away, but also outright threatening investors against coming to Gujarat or giving it any money.
आज दुनिया वाइब्रेंट गुजरात की सफलता देख रही है, लेकिन वाइब्रेंट गुजरात का आयोजन ऐसे माहौल में किया गया जब तब की केंद्र सरकार भी गुजरात के विकास को लेकर बेरुखी दिखाती थी। उस समय केंद्र सरकार चलाने वाले गुजरात के विकास को भी राजनीति से जोड़कर देखते थे। केंद्र सरकार के मंत्री तब वाइब्रेंट गुजरात समिट में आने से मना कर दिया करते थे। व्यक्तिगत रूप से तो मुझे बताते थे कि नहीं हम जरूर आएंगे, पता नहीं पीछे से डंडा चलता था, वो ना कर देते थे। सहयोग तो दूर की बात, वो रोड़े अटकाने में लगे रहते थे। विदेशी इन्वेस्टर्स को धमकाया जाता था कि गुजरात मत जाओ। इतना डराने के बाद भी विदेशी इन्वेस्टर्स गुजरात आए।
Now, the interesting thing is that over the last 9 years, ever since the Modi government came into power, the Congress in particular and the opposition at large had said that agencies are used by the Modi government to go after those who challenge them. Now, the Prime Minister has turned the tables and alleged that in fact it's the Congress and its allied ecosystem that went after not just him, but even punished the people of Gujarat in their haste to take on Modi. All non-BJP parties have dismissed what the Prime Minister had said as a persecution complex and an outright fabrication.
मैं जब यहाँ था तो वाइब्रेंट गुजरात में रोड़े डाले जाते थे। कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट आता है तो उसे रोका जाता था। मैं चैलेंज करता हूँ कि प्रधानमंत्री जी, अब तो आप ही आका हो देश के। अगर ऐसा है तो कौन कांग्रेसी नेता था, किस कंपनी को रोका धमकाया?
मेरा तो प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध है कि और भी कई राज्यों में आपकी सरकारें रही, आप वाइब्रेंट मध्य प्रदेश क्यों नहीं बना पाए?
मैं तो यही चाहूंगा कि मोदी जी, आप व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी का प्रोफेसर मत बनिए और गुजरात की इतिहास, गुजरात की सच्चाई को धूमिल करने की कोशिश आप मत करिए।
So the big question is simply this. In the fight of Modi versus the UPA, was the state of Gujarat caught in the crossfire? How can Team INDIA, which went after Modi, or so claims the Prime Minister, now claim that when agencies act against them, it is a witch hunt? And is the Prime Minister now in the next 6 months squarely training his guns at the alleged urban Naxals, who he claims are not just governing Team India's strategy at present, but also guided it behind the scenes when the UPA was in power? Joining us on the debate, Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the BJP, Avnijesh Awasthi, political analyst, Vivek Srivastav, political analyst, Rohan Mitra, also political analyst, and political analyst Dr. Sumant C. Raman. So let me first start with you. Sanju Verma, extremely serious charges, but everyone is turning around and saying, why talk about it 20 years later? If indeed the UPA was stalling the progress of Gujarat or was, not allowing Vibrant Gujarat Summit to happen, how could it have completed 20 years?
Padmaja, first and foremost, let me remind Gaurav Gogoi. I did not want to politicize this because Gaurav Gogoi's father, Tarun Gogoi, is no more. But Tarun Gogoi ruled Assam as the chief minister for almost 1.5 decades. And Gaurav Gogoi, before saying that the Prime Minister gets his inputs from WhatsApp University, I would like to ask Gaurav Gogoi, आपके पिताजी तो असम के मुख्यमंत्री थे, 10 सालों से भी ज्यादा, 1.5 दशकों तक. And what did your father do? He could not even give Assam a broad gauge rail line which was given by Narendra Modi in 2016. So please keep quiet. Even the first aims came up thanks to Himanta Biswa Sarma and Narendra Modi's double engine government. But speaking of Gujarat, which is the topic of discussion, I will start by saying this. This is one of my favorite quotes of Mahatma Gandhi, and it became a blockbuster because Nike used it. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you. Then they fight you, and then you win. And the reason I'm saying this is because we know that for the longest time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi last year completed 20 years in public life, first as the Chief Minister of Gujarat and then as the Prime Minister, and he continues to be the Prime Minister. Hopefully, he will obviously get a third term as well. Be that as it may, anybody who has a basic understanding of Gujarat, and I have written about it in my books on Modinomics, I have started both my books with the Gujarat model. In 2001, Padmaja, when Gujarat had that devastating earthquake, it was reduced, large parts of Gujarat were reduced to rubble and dust. And nobody, just about nobody, political pundits, what have you, left-leaning academicians or the opposition, they said, Gujarat to kabhi revive hoga hi nahi. And just two years after the earthquake, Narendra Modi had the audacity, had the political courage of conviction, had the willpower, had the determination to host in 2003 the vibrant Gujarat Summit for the first time. And as we speak today, given that vibrant Gujarat Summit has completed 20 years, 2 decades of being in existence, 55 lakh crore worth of investments have come via the vibrant Gujarat Summit into Gujarat and various parts of India. 55 lakh crore means a little over 24% of India's
But who
GDP.
blocked it? That is not the question. We have the data. The allegation is different, that UPA ministers were threatening investors against coming into Gujarat. How do we know that this is true?
Okay, now since you asked me a pointed question, give me 30 seconds. I will give you 2 specific instances because I am not somebody who talks rhetoric. I come prepared with data, and I would like a rebuttal to be as pointed as the one I am giving. Who conceived the Sardar Sarovar Dam and who laid the foundation stone of the Sardar Sarovar Dam? It was Pandit Nehru way back in 1961. The construction of Sardar Sarovar Dam started in 1987. But we all know that for the longest time between 1987 and 2017-18, when the Sardar Sarovar Dam was actually consummated by the Modi government, who was in power at the center? It was the Congress. Either it was Narasimha Rao or it was the Manmohan Singh / Sonia Gandhi's kitchen cabinet which ruled. And Prime Minister Modi is on record saying that we could not complete the Sardar Sarovar Dam because each time we would send our files to...
Ma'am, we're talking about vibrant Gujarat and the ministers stopping investors from coming.
Yes, so I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Can't you just indulge me for 20 seconds?
No, we've been speaking for 5 minutes, so please let's come to the point.
Yeah, I'm coming to the point because the opposition on your channel comes and starts abusing Prime Minister irrespective of what the topic is, Padmaja, and I'm upset for a reason. For so many years, for close to 10-15 years, Congress did not even give an approval on the increase in the height of the dam, the Sardar Sarovar Narmada project. That is why it was stalled. This is one of the classic instances of how a development project and how crores, lakhs and crores worth of investment were stuck. They became a sunk investment. Had Narendra Modi not come to power in 2014, had Sardar Sarovar Dam not been consummated in 2017-18, thousands of crores, thanks to Medha Patkar and thanks to Sonia Gandhi and
We have discussed Sardar Sarovar Dam. Can we talk about Vibrant Gujarat Summit and how it was blocked, and if at all, how do we know that ministers were instrumental in stopping investors?
No, you asked me to prove why is it that, Narendra Modi is saying that investments were stopped. I want to ask you one thing. Why is it that Congress ruled Gujarat for the longest time before Narendra Modi became the chief minister and had that brilliant run after him, Vijay Rupani and then Keshubhai Patel, in between Anandiben Patel, all that history we know. I want to ask you a reverse question. Why is it that only after Modi became the chief minister, Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Ferrari, Ford, Why are these companies, be it Welspun Gujarat, be it the world's largest refining petrochemical complex that came up in and around Ankleshwar and Jamnagar, I'm talking of Reliance Industries, why did it happen after Modi came to power?
Rohan Mitra, circumstantial evidence is being provided to show that all these projects were being blocked. It's only when Mr. Modi came that he made it possible despite resistance. Rohan Mitra.
Good evening, Padmaja. You know, this debate started somewhere and it has gone somewhere and nothing has been proven, not a single answer. Okay, I just want to, your guest relation people, the reason they called me today to this debate, I want to stick to that point. Mr. Narendra Modi became the Chief Minister of Gujarat in October 2001. In February 2002, there was the Godhra riots which happened in Gujarat. First, it was the Prime Minister at that time, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was upset with everything which went down. It was due to Mr. Lal Krishna Advani that Mr. Modi's resignation was not taken and he continued. The fallout of that event of Godhra was the USA, the United Kingdom, the EU, which were the biggest Western, the Western economies, which the FDI, the foreign direct investment, which we are talking about, was supposed to come to India and is supposed to come to Gujarat. These are the places which stopped issuing Narendra Modi a visa to go to their countries and, ask for the money, ask for their investors to come from there. So, and it was Manmohan Singh's government which took it up with the USA that, he's an elected
what does the visa have to do with Vibrant Gujarat Summit? Are you saying that because of the visa ban, the investors didn't come?
I'm not even saying that the investors didn't come. This is my point. The investors were coming. No one was stopping them. At the same time, in 2004, there was a TDP government which was with the NDA. There was a government of the DMK which was partners with the NDA, but they were ruling Tamil Nadu. The Congress government under Manmohan Singh never believed that double engine sarkar, do hat mein laddu hona chahiye, then only progress will happen. They believed in the federal structure. If a state government is wanting to bring its own investment, there was never stopped.
Okay, Sanju Verma, it was never stopped. 2003 money was coming, 2023 money is coming. Rohan Mitra is saying these are all false allegations, nothing to back them up. Other state governments were also getting investors. Sanju Verma.
Let us be very clear. Anybody who has done basic research and come for today's debate of yours, Padmaja, knows that after Prime Minister Modi started the Vibrant Gujarat Summit in 2003, 19 states of India replicated it and more than 135 countries today participate in the Vibrant Investor Summit across different states of India. But the man who germinated the idea and brought about an industrial revolution in Gujarat, making places like Ahmedabad, which is today famous as the Manchester of India because it's become the second largest cotton manufacturing region, is thanks to Narendra Modi. I want to ask the opposition one thing. How is it that the world's biggest automobile manufacturing company, Maruti Suzuki, has a array of offices and factories in Gujarat? Why not in
other? But Sanju Verma, that is not what we are discussing at all. What we are discussing is a very specific allegation that in 2003 till 2014, Gujarat was being victimized by the UPA government. Rohan Mitra's case is that this is false. There was no victimization, not of Gujarat, not of any other non-Congress ruled state.
So now I want to ask this, Padmaja, because you are very conveniently asking me to stick to the issue, whereas the visa of Narendra Modi and Godhra riots is not the topic of discussion, but you gave a free run to Rohan Gupta on your show. And why
nobody was given a free run? Nobody was given a free run. You digressed. He caught on to your digression. So can we please bring it back to a singular question? Let me get in Avnijesh Awasthi. Avnijesh Awasthi, it's a serious charge, but is this a mutual witch hunt? आज INDIA की पार्टीज कह रही हैं कि हमारे खिलाफ एजेंसीज छोड़ी हुई हैं. मोदी जी कह रहे हैं मेरे साथ भी यही किया था 2014 के पहले.
मोदी जी के खिलाफ तो किया ही थे, सब जानते हैं. 2002 के गोधरा दंगों के पश्चात किस तरीके से नरेंद्र मोदी को टारगेट किया गया, जिसमें नंबी नारायण वाला केस भी आया, PV श्री कुमार आए सामने, किस तरीके, और सारे जितने आरोप थे वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट द्वारा खारिज किए गए. मैं एक बात बता दूं पद्मजा जी, बात बड़ी साफ सी है. आप जिस या जो भी ऑपोजिशन पार्टी तर्कों की या प्रमाणों की बात कर रही है ना, वो प्रमाण ऐसे नहीं होते कि फाइल में लिख करके है कि नॉट अलाउड। किस तरीके से रोका जाता है काम, इसके और बहुत सारे तरीके होते हैं। पद्मजा जी, एक बात मैं बताऊं, अभी कुछ दिन पहले एक बयान आया था किसी नेता का, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, कि भारतवर्ष इस समय फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए ठीक नहीं है। यह बयान क्यों दिया? आपको मालूम है कि अभी कभी तमिलनाडु में आईफोन की फैक्ट्री में आग लगी, इससे पहले बेंगलोर में वहां पर हड़ताल हुई और वहां पर बेंगलोर की आईफोन की फैक्ट्री में तोड़फोड़ की गई। बात बड़ी साफ सी, उत्तर प्रदेश में ऐसा हो रहा है। किसी भी तरीके से ये ना आ पाए। पद्मजा जी, अगर मैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी को इतना तो जानता हूं कम से कम कि ये जब सारे कहेंगे ना तो वो फाइल भी उठा के खोल के दे देंगे, तब इस पर चुप हो जाएंगे तब सारे।
ओके, तो you are making serious allegations, आप कह रहे हैं sabotage किया जा रहा है।
नहीं, एग्जैक्टली आप ये बताइए, चाइना से जो यहाँ कंपनी आ रही है उनमें हड़ताल होना, उनमें आग लगना, ये कोई, आप बताइए वंदे भारत एक्सप्रेस में रोज पत्थर मार करके कौन फेंकता है?
Okay, very quickly respond to this, Rohan Mitra. Active sabotage, and none of this is ever recorded on paper. Nobody is going to say boycott Vibrant Gujarat Summit.
Padmaja, this your person who spoke, I don't know
Mr.
him. This is not
Avasthi.
you or me speaking. This is the Prime Minister of India. He's speaking, and we are no. This is the Prime Minister of India who's speaking, and he's speaking on record. So when the Prime Minister of India is speaking something, and the facts point the other way, we cannot take his word anymore. This is misleading the facts. You are telling me that the BJP spokesperson said that 135 countries are participating in Vibrant Gujarat. Where is the data that, in 2003 to 2013 that the countries were not participating in Vibrant Gujarat? For 1 minute,
Abhijit wants to respond, then Sanju Varma.
Where is the fact?
Yes, Rohan, I will tell you. This is not the first time when PM Modi spoke this thing. बार कितनी बार वहां पर राज्यपाल थी, शायद कमला बेनीवाल उनका नाम था, कितने कानूनों को रोका, वो तो फाइल पर है, कितनी योजनाओं को रोका, ये तो फाइल पर है, इसका सब कुछ है, कितने दिनों तक साइन नहीं हो रहे, ये सब पहली बार नहीं बोला। नरेंद्र मोदी ने गुजरात के चीफ मिनिस्टर होते हुए ये बार बार इस बात को अंडरलाइन करके कहा है इसमें। और आप जानते हैं कि आप तमाम लोग वीजा के लिए उनके लिए चिट्ठी लिख करके यहां से मना कर रहे थे, ये बात थी। और उसके बाद लास्ट 10 सेकेंड, जस्ट 10 सेकेंड वो बात बड़ी साफ थी है पद्मजा जी, कि जिस तरीके से वहां पर गुजरात मॉडल कुछ नहीं है, ये कहा गया ना जब 2014 में गुजरात मॉडल कुछ नहीं, उसके पहले भी कहा गया गुजरात मॉडल कुछ नहीं है, तो आज आप क्यों कह रहे हैं कि गुजरात वाइब्रेंट सफलता हमने होने दिया? क्यों कह रहे हैं फिर आप?
Okay, Sanju Varma, give the data which shows the contrast between 2003 when UPA was stopping and 2023 when you say that it's being allowed to flourish. Sanju Varma.
Padmaja, this is exactly up my alley. I will quote now, and because Rohan Gupta said कि हमें बताइए proof क्या है. This is a brilliant report on urban infrastructure with a specific reference to Gujarat published by KPMG in 2021-22. And one of the most notable things which stood out when I read this report was KPMG said that it is only due to the vision of Narendra Modi that what was once a garbage dump yard and a wasteland, and Ahmedabad stands on this river called Sabarmati River. The Sabarmati waterfront of 10.5 kilometers did not become a reality because for the longest time basic approvals from the central government with respect to urban infrastructure, not only fund allocations, were kept in abeyance. And it is thanks to the Narendra Modi government which came to power in center that projects like the Sabarmati waterfront, which is one of the biggest examples of how a dump yard can turn into a great textbook case of urban planning, became a reality. And let me tell you, Rohan Gupta, the Sabarmati waterfront was conceived by Nehru in 1964, in 1966 and 1976. Repeatedly, Congress governments till as recently as 2011 refused to give basic permissions for Sabarmati waterfront to come up in Gujarat.
Okay, he's Rohan Mitra and Dr. Sumansi Raman, specific example given of how Gujarat has flourished not because of the cooperation of the union government, but despite the non-cooperation of the union government of the time. Dr. Sumansi Raman.
Yeah, Padmaja, this is a very, very unfortunate statement to make. You talk to any industrialist, anybody who is investing a lot of money in any state, will they take on a center which does not want them to invest there and go ahead and invest? You need to queue up to the center for 100 things, even if your state government is supporting you. I mean, how, I don't want to use a word like absurd, but tell me which industrialist will invest 10,000 crore or 20,000 crore of money knowing that the center is gunning for them and does not want them to invest there. It's a very unfortunate statement.
No. The example being given of how development is stalled
by her bosses.
The KPMG report she has quoted, where KPMG is saying when you have development projects, permissions are not given by the center. Specific example. See, all of these will always be in the realm of allegation. Obviously, no minister is going to send a note saying, don't invest in Gujarat. We hate Modi. Nobody is going to send that note to any business house.
One minute. Sanju Verma made a point. She said, Gaurav Gogoi, why did your father not introduce broad gauge to Assam? I think she's probably been seeing a fair number of WhatsApp forwards because broad gauge came to Assam way back in 1984.
Can we please restrict ourselves to the topic at hand? We'll go into broad gauge and the history of the railways in the country.
Where do they pick up these statistics?
Okay, you please have a separate conversation offline about where these statistics are coming from. Can we please stick to the topic? You know, this unnecessary, needless, tangential conversation. Okay, great. You made her point. You made your point. She's made her point. Respond to the specific allegation that the center was blocking development projects. Dr. Sumansi Raman.
Record it that it's a falsehood. Look, Padmaja, at the end of the day, you have to record a falsehood when it is uttered. This is false that broad gauge came to Assam only after 2014. I mean, India, for all practical purposes, I won't be surprised if Sanju Verma even says India became independent.
Okay, anyway, because call it a falsehood, let her explain it, and then really I want to bring it back to the topic. This is really unfortunate. You know, we cannot keep having these long, rambling conversations about everything under the sun. Go on.
Padmaja, one very interesting fact. Forget even KPMG report, just basic common sense. Please, I urge Sumansi Raman to go and look into the archives of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit of the last 20 years and do some homework because you are very quick to throw allegations at me. Why is it that beat Hyundai, beat Ferrari, beat Maruti Suzuki, beat the likes recently of Micron, the world's largest semiconductor company, and its promoter Sanjay Mehrotra said after meeting Prime Minister Modi that, you know, it was the Congress that tried in 1980, it tried in 1990, it tried in mid-2000, but it never created an ecosystem for semiconductor giants to invest. And it is today investing. Micron is going to be investing billions of dollars in a semiconductor plant in Gujarat. That is a proof. Maruti investing, making the biggest investments outside Haryana in Gujarat. That is a proof. Welspun, one of the largest carbon steel conglomerates, investing only after Modi came to power in Gujarat as the chief minister. That is an example. Bombardier Transportation, now making railway coaches which are exported to Australia, Brazil, Saudi Arabia. They got a permission after Modi came to power. So, bhaiya, padh likh kar aao. It is you who's.
So, Sanju Verma, if I may, you're contradicting yourself. The argument made at the beginning was that industrialists stopped coming to Gujarat because the UPA government was arm twisting them. Now you're saying that a record number of investments came into Gujarat when Mr. Modi was the chief minister. The two arguments don't square up.
No, you're absolutely right. And why I will tell you, I made these two arguments. I'm not contradicting myself. There are approvals for projects where the center in private-public partnership invests at least 40 to 50% of the total amount of the project. There the center always sabotage the development initiatives of Gujarat, where the state government had to give an approval and it was 100% state-funded project like Maruti. or for that matter Ferrari SPA, or for that matter Welspun, or for that matter Bombardier Transportation, these did not require regulatory approval from the center because these were not public-private partnership projects. These were not PPP projects. They were totally funded by the state government. There Gujarat has a leading edge. That is the reason. Today Sabarkantha and Banaskantha are not just tribal areas known for growing maize, wheat and potato. One is known as one of the world's largest manufacturer of handmade wooden toys. One is a ceramic and a glass hub internationally.
Okay, so you're talking about projects, Vivek Srivastav, any project where central clearances were needed, there was an ecosystem at work which ensured that they didn't fructify. Whatever else could be achieved, Gujarat has managed to get. The point though is, was there a witch hunt at the hands of the center at that time?
Two or three things.
Mr. Srivastav.
There was no witch hunt. There was no witch hunt at all. It was a very corrupt government. The governor, Mrs. Kamala Beniwal, kept on telling the chief minister time and again, Lokpal laiye, Lokpal laiye, Lokpal laiye. 5 years, and the now prime minister and the then chief minister did not get a Lokpal in Gujarat. Why? Everybody knows. The companies that Sanju Verma mentioned, so many of them, they were coming. There was big money trading going on between the BJP and these companies. Land was being given at throwaway prices. So corruption was skyrocketing. So nobody stopped. Gujarat is a state where business flourishes. It's a state of entrepreneurs. Everybody knows it. Every state has its own culture. People follow their own way of life. You know, and I mean, if the model was so great, why was the prime minister not able to replicate it in other states? Like somebody just said, why was the no Madhya Pradesh model? Today there is Haryana. Why is there no Haryana model? I mean, if he is the man who is responsible for creating the model, why has that model been created in other states of the country?
It has actually been replicated in multiple states. Uttar Pradesh has an investor summit of its own. Uttarakhand has an investor summit of its own, and we can all talk about them individually. You choose to talk about Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, but you choose not to talk about Uttar Pradesh. Once a Bimaru Rajya, now has a defense corridor, now has an investor summit.
Yeah, I can talk of UP also. Apart from Noida, can you tell me where is the software industry in the entire Uttar Pradesh?
Do you know? Okay, you want to talk about?
This is the second term of the chief minister. Apart from Noida, where it occurred long time back, एक software company बता दीजिए उत्तर प्रदेश में.
Okay, we will have a separate discussion. We'll have a separate discussion dedicated entirely to what kind of investments are coming into Uttar Pradesh. But respond to the specific point, Avnijesh ji, कि ये गुजराती लोगों का अपना नेचर ही ऐसा है. As is being said कि उनका धंधे का नेचर ही है. तो वहां इन्वेस्टर समिट हो रही है, सक्सेसफुली हो रही है. No credit to the government. It's no credit that they are saying कि हमने despite all odds किया है. गुजरात में तो होना ही होना है क्योंकि गुजरात धंधे का स्टेट है.
तो पद्मजा जी ये बात बोलते हुए भूल गए कि नरेंद्र मोदी गुजराती हैं. इनको याद रखना चाहिए कि नरेंद्र मोदी खुद गुजराती हैं, तो वो पूरे देश में एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को कितना प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. बीइंग ए गुजराती, इसका बहुत मजाक उड़ाया है इन्होंने. हर बार मजाक उड़ाया गया. गुजरात मॉडल का इतना मजाक उड़ाया गया कि अगर ऐसा मॉडल है तो ऐसा मॉडल है. ये उत्तर पद्मजा प्लीज एक्सक्यूज मी, इन्होंने बात की उत्तर प्रदेश की. पूरा आर्म्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का कॉरिडोर बन रहा है. अमेठी में बनी, क्या हुआ था उसमें रायबरेली में जो कोचिंग फैक्ट्री बननी थी, कोच की फैक्ट्री बननी थी, नहीं बनी. मैं एक एक चीज का बात कर सकता हूं. विवेक श्रीवास्तव जी, आपको तो ये बताना है कि कहां पर आप ये चाहते हैं कि जो चाइना की कंपनी भारत में आना चाहती है उसमें कहां तोड़फोड़ कर रहे हैं आप उसके बारे में खुलासा करिए. ये है असली बात. पद्मजा, बड़ी साफ सी बात है. आप 2004 से लेकर 2014 तक के इकोनॉमिक्स टाइम्स की रिपोर्ट्स पढ़ लीजिए. उन इकोनॉमिक्स टाइम्स की रिपोर्ट्स के आधार पर बड़े साफ रूप में मालूम चल जाएगा कि किस प्रकार गुजरात की सरकार और वहां के मुख्यमंत्री जो हैं कितने प्रोजेक्ट लाना चाहते हैं और उसमें केंद्र सरकार और बाकी एजेंसियां उसमें कितना रोड़ा अटका रही हैं. 2004 से लेकर 2014 तक के सारे अखबारों को देख लीजिए आप. बड़े साफ तरीके से आपको मालूम चल जाएगा.
All right, I'm just going to leave it at that. The simple point is that there may be differences between the center and state, but should people of a state be made victims of that, or did it ever happen? I'll leave it to your judgment. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me.